You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast, here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Thad, and joining me is my co-host, Chrissie. How are you today?
I might be indestructible, but I guess I can still get sick. Or turn into a butterfly, maybe? I don't know. We're gonna find out. How are you?
I'm alright. I just met a bunch of people that dress like me and seem to be cosplaying me, so that's a bit of a strange experience, but yeah, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, that is. I agree.
Also joining us today is BQN's own Ria Papageorgiou. Ria, how are you today?
Hello! Live logs and proper! Yeah, I'm hanging in there. Been a wee bit of a rough couple days, and I also might be turning into a butterfly here, or possibly just have a chest cold, but otherwise doing great. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for having me on. So excited.
Before we jump into our topic for the day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make our show possible, particularly our associate producers, Carl Wonders, Justin Oser, and Chrissie De Clerck-Szilagyi. Because Chrissie's, actually contributing to the show, whereas I'm a freeloader, so I don't do that, but yay for Chrissie.
You're not a freeloader.
No, of course not. I just don't contribute as much, clearly. Listeners, you can hear your name listed as one of those associate producers. Be better than I am.
Well,
for a monthly subscription of just $10 at patreon.com/BQN. And with a monthly Patreon subscription of just $5, you can join our Meetings of the Hive Mind on the second Saturday of each month. Watch your Patreon messages for details. The only news that I saw this week is we got a couple actors saying that they were done filming for Discovery,
yes.
Which tells me that Anthony Rapp did it and said that, and then also the actress who plays Tarina, the Vulcan president, also said that she was done filming. So that tells me, especially with Anthony Rapp, because he's part of the main cast, that if they are not completely done filming, they are close. Mm-hmm. Which means that Discovery is coming after Picard and Strange New Worlds. Mm-hmm. Looks like we're in for another run of 3 Star Trek shows with very little gap in between them next spring. So that sounds pretty great to me.
Yeah, that'll be good.
That's awesome. It could also mean, though, that Stamets and Tarina have been killed off. But I guess we'll find out.
In the universe, Ria.
I thought of that too, because when you put that in the chat, I was like, what if he's done early? And then when you said
no.
the woman that plays Tarina was done too, I'm like, okay, it's unlikely that the two of them together would be leaving early because they got killed. So
if Doug Jones had also said it, then yeah, all 3 of them died in a shuttle accident.
Then I would be concerned, actually. Yes, because of the way the storyline's been going with those two.
Discovery has been filming for quite some time at this point, so it makes sense that they would be starting to wrap up.
For sure. Now, I just wanted to shout out Dustin, because he said in our chat that he's really hoping to see a Vulcan Calpian wedding this season, and I am down for that.
Ooh.
That hadn't even occurred to me.
I think a lot of people are looking for
it.
Yeah. They should do it Beta Z style.
Oh, poor Doug Jones and the amount of makeup.
He already did that in an episode in season 2, so.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
true.
I can see that.
Although that was waist up.
Right.
Now we're going to do waist
down.
Yeah,
no, we don't.
See whether there are other ganglia somewhere else, maybe.
Oh,
little dangly
I just love the idea of somebody from a desert planet marrying somebody who is from basically a water planet.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how do they fight over the thermostat?
This actually makes a lot of sense, because if you're from a desert, you're always you're looking for water because it's not plentiful, which is why Tarina was definitely the thirsty one in that relationship in season 4.
Well, I just moved to the desert a couple months ago, and yes, drink plenty of water. I had to learn to bathe in lotion.
That sounds slippery.
Kind of like a Kelpie and Vulcan wedding, I guess.
There you go. Bring it back around.
Anyway, we had an episode of Prodigy this week.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
And all the world's a stage, following in the long-standing tradition of Shakespearean Star Trek episode titles.
Mm-hmm.
Ria, what'd you think of this episode?
Okay. So, I've seen it 3 times now, and my first watch through, one thing that jumped out at me when they landed on that planet, did we ever get that planet's name?
No.
I don't know if we did, but when they landed on the planet, and we've got James T. and Sulu, and I'm just like, wait a minute. And of course, James T. is speaking in the stereo.
Best part of
Typical
the
sector.
yeah.
You know? And at first, my first impression was, I found it a little, I don't know. I'm like, wait, this is kind of some strange fan service. And I wasn't quite on board until the reveal of the gallows. And when they said Galileo, I'm like, oh! And then all the pieces fell into place. And then with each rewatch, I've loved it more and more. And of course, it was written by Aaron Waltke, so you know it's going to be just an awesome marriage of, like fan service and nostalgia and all that, but with so much more nuance and like such a wonderful story that came out of it. So I really, really, I like this episode.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Chrissy, what'd you think?
I really did like the episode. I liked the concept, all of that. I got pulled out of it because of the impressions. It just, like that was, it's fun, but then at some point I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. It's just, but I think I'm putting that in the category of Move Along Home, where if we're not for the Alan Moraine song, I think a lot of people would like that better. They'd appreciate the episode for what it is, which is a really cool concept. And that is this. So I just have to, I'm stepping back from the fact that it made me cringe the first time I watched it. But I love the story and I love the idea and I love the connections they made. Yes.
So
and
many
this felt, and not just because they came across this, these, I love how they call them the Enterpriseians. Not just because of that, but this really felt Trek. This is a society that they run into and they have to learn to understand them. And then it turns out there's this thing that's going on that they fix for them. And it just really, it was great.
I think I'm consistent because I love Move Along Home, including the Ellen Moraine. And
same.
I also loved this episode, and I loved James T's over the top Shatner. If you try to think about how and why he has that, it does sort of come a little interesting. So, like, I guess Garavik, when he was talking about Captain Kirk, made sure meant to go over his peculiar cadence, which seems interesting. Like, why would he just talk about that?
And
but okay.
Taught them a Scottish accent and
yes, I know.
Which makes me think that maybe he played logs or something.
That has to be.
Yeah. I'm disappointed that we didn't get to find out what Scotty's Enterprisian name was. Because Kirk had become James T, and Sulu had become Sulu, and Spock was Sprock, and Bones was Boons, and Uhura was Her. So I want to know what Scotty had become.
Scott E.
I love that Scotty was in a blue shirt And he was the one asking for a miracle worker.
Yeah.
And that was hilarious.
That was nice. Little juxtaposition.
I also feel like James T was at least a somewhat nod to Star Trek Beyond, because that's how Jayla refers to Kirk the whole time.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I hadn't even thought of that. Good connection.
oh, funny. Me either.
Also,
Yeah.
interesting thing about James T, the voice actor is Murph.
Oh,
What?
I like that.
D. Bradley Baker.
Yes, the voice of
Oh
Murph.
my gosh.
And didn't Fred Tatasciore did
Fred Tatasciore did a bunch of
Well,
voices
yeah.
Did.
in this episode. He was Garrivan,
Yeah.
he was also Sprock, and he was also Boons.
cool.
Yep. And both Tatasciore and Baker were various
Yeah.
Enterpriseians.
Yes.
I love it. That's cool. I hadn't caught that.
Oh yeah, so cool. Yeah, and you know what? There was okay. Are we talking connections here?
We
Because
you
there
can
were
talk about whatever
so
you want to
many-
talk about. It's fine.
Okay. There were so many different. There were flavors from so many different episodes, particularly TOS, that I got out of this. Let's see here. Flipping through my 3 pages of notes here.
Nothing wrong with that.
In my unintelligible handwriting. So we kind of have a history. Well, like you said, Thad, we have Shakespearean titles, Shakespearean themes. Well, we had plays. Plays were pretty prominent in this culture.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me think of Conscience of the King.
Mm-hmm.
We also have, of course, it seemed that Dr. Crusher was always trying to get people into her plays in TNG, and I was thinking Frame of Mind. But I think the one that most closely parallels it is Muse from Voyager.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. And then when the sickness, that Garvik brought this kind of plague to the planet inadvertently, kind of made me think of TNG's Nine
Oh,
Own
yeah.
Self.
Oh,
when
yeah. I
Data
hadn't thought of that, but
Inadvertently poisons the
Almost
planet.
the same thing too.
Then when,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Cadet Hura, who went and saw the gallows and came back sick. But that scene, like right from the get-go, made me think of From the World is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky.
Okay.
When it's the old fella that touched the sky. Then Dal gets sick, and it was just like Kirk and Miri.
Yep.
Now he's got the lesions on his arms, Kirk and Yeoman Rand and everything. And then, of course, so many TOS episodes where there's kind of inadvertent pollution of a planet, like A Piece of the Action, Patterns of Force. Even in the Omega Glory, you've got the Constitution of the United States for some unknown reason.
Well, that, in theory, was not a pollution thing, but, like, the idea in Omega Glory was that they had that planet had its own United States with its own constitution that was just like ours. But yes.
But yeah, but the distortion
Yeah.
of that kind of... Yeah. And then I also thought of that Orville episode where Kelly becomes a god.
Yes!
And when they were reading Ensign Garvik's log, and he talked about how the people of the planet redeemed him, it made me think of Peanut Hamper. Now, ultimately, she wasn't redeemed, but,
Wow.
So I thought that and knowing, like, Aaron Walke's style and everything, and just how knowledgeable these writers are, these aren't coincidences. They were pulling from all this stuff. Like, it's just like so many, I don't know, so much Star Trek is woven into this 22-minute kids episode. It's, wow, I'm so impressed.
Yeah, Prodigy just continues to amaze me at how well they are telling Star Trek stories in these 25-minute cartoons.
Yes.
It took getting past the exposition part about we're introducing Star Trek to 7-year-olds, but now that we're at that point where we're past, unless it's something specific like the Borg, then it is just the same, and it's wonderful.
Yes. And they're bringing in more kind of with each episode, and more subtly and more organically, like very obviously in this episode, James T. and Kirk Fu. They were practicing Kirk Fu. Oh my gosh. Sulu. Oh, did you guys catch it when Sulu said, "My mind"?
Oh, yeah. I have that in my notes.
Was beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
So putting aside the Nazism and the Chicago gangsters elements of those episodes, is this not the exact same thing? Have they not completely polluted the society?
I think so.
Very interesting. We've never seen that done in a way that we would perceive as positive. You know? Because it's like, oh, well, obviously they shouldn't have introduced the people on that one planet to being Nazis. That's a bad thing. And, you know, Chicago gangsters, whatever you want to say about whatever elements of that might have some positivity, you know, that's generally not a good thing. But, you know, having a bunch of people pretend to be Starfleet, I'm okay with that. And then that made me ponder on it, you know? And I'm thinking like, oh, why am I okay with that versus the other ones? And obviously part of it is that it was a mistake. It was not intentional pollution of the society, so that helped. But definitely a very heavy Prime Directive violation.
Yeah. I think one thing that they mentioned was that Garvik told of Starfleet and peace and bringing peace, and it, by all, you know, accounts, this is a very peaceful society. Yeah, they put on fake Starfleet uniforms or Starflight uniforms, and, you know, who doesn't?
I mean, really, we're not ones to talk.
Yeah. Oh, and that was clever too. That line, Jenkum Pog, where he says, you know, oh, look at them playing dress up and pretending to be Starfleet. But like the double entendre there in a non-naughty way. They were, you know, kind of jabbing at us, but also, you know, Dal and his imposter syndrome.
Yeah, that was great.
So clever.
That also made me think of the Star Trek Discovery novel Wonderlands, which is the one that takes place in the period after Michael Burnham jumps to the future, but before Discovery jumps to the future.
Yeah, the cosplayers.
Because there's a whole subplot in there about Starfleet cosplayers.
Really?
Yes. Like a bunch of people because at that point in time, while Starfleet did exist, they were bottled up in that one little area because no one had warp drive. And so these were people who basically lived by a code of, this is how Starfleet used to be, so we need to be good and help people and whatnot. And it was exactly like this, so that's why I was, it was...
Kind of like what, like, dressing up for the Ren Fair would be for us.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it was funny because at one point Burnham was like, okay, well, that's not right, and that's the wrong uniform to go standing next to that person, and that's not the right badge that goes with that uniform.
Burnham went full Thad.
Absolutely. But in a wonderful way.
So, to be fair, I say that when they do get it wrong on the show. I would never tell a cosplayer that they're doing their uniform wrong.
No. Oh, no. I would...
Unless it's Joe Keegan. You keep him on his toes.
The first time I watched through this, when they revealed it was the Galileo, I had this like momentary brain fart that this was the planet with the cave people that had been trying to destroy them in Galileo 7. Then I was like, no, wait, they got the shuttle off of it in that episode. But it was just, I was like, because I thought the cultural contamination was much, much worse, like they had taken them from cavemen to Starflight. But, you know, they got the shuttle back, so.
But did they, because I forgot, because my first time through, the same thing, I'm like, wait, that's the Galileo. Oh, this is from the Galileo 7. Oh, and the shuttle, it's contaminated. And then I'm like, wait a minute. No, they were the you know, Mugatu there. And wait a minute. It wasn't putting it together. But in the Galileo 7, they ended up beaming the survivors off the Galileo back to the Enterprise. And the Galileo blew up burnt up in the atmosphere, did it not?
Yes, but presumably they made another one.
Well, yeah.
Because then we had another Galileo, and then we had a Galileo 2.
Yeah.
But there was a Galileo in Star Trek 5.
Yeah.
And although that was a different Enterprise. But still.
Yeah.
So that shows us that they do reuse that.
Oh, well, of course.
In an interview I heard with Mr. Aaron Walke, he basically just kind of wanted to fill in the gaps of both Ensign Garvik and the Galileo shuttlecraft. Because Garvik was just in that one episode, Obsession, and he was kind of the one red shirt to survive a, you know, not shore, but to survive whatever. And it's like, okay, well, wouldn't he and Kirk be buddies over the years? And, whatever happened to him? Well, they must have gotten killed off. And so if I remember the interview correctly, that's where Walkie said that kind of got the idea to have Garvik.
I remember being extremely perplexed at Mission Chicago during the Prodigy panel when they told us that Ensign Garvik would be making an appearance. And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And now, of course, we know what happened.
Yeah.
And it was played very well.
Yeah.
But I remember being like, how in the world is that gonna happen?
Man, I must have just glided right past that because I didn't even remember hearing that.
It was a fun panel. They took audience questions from children.
Yes.
So that was cool. Kate Mulgrew kept asking them who their favorite character was, and they all said Murph, and she was getting more and more, flustered about that.
I am super curious to hear some children's feedback on this episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we get all the Easter eggs and all the references and stuff, but I'd be really curious to see what they think of Starflight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one reason why we can definitely miss the fact that Brandon's no longer on this show, because he actually has children, and Chrissy and I do not.
Mm-hmm. Me either.
I can't get my little second cousins interested. I was like, come on, you guys, you could be on a podcast with me. And they're like, no, we know Aunt Chrissy likes Star Trek.
Yeah, my niece and nephew are too young still. So.
Yeah, see, my nephew's about 6, so he's almost old enough, but not really. And beyond that, they live in another part of the country, so it gets more complicated. Yeah. You're not gonna get a 6-year-old kid to come on a Zoom.
No, not easily.
Yeah.
and stay.
Yeah. So my niece is 5.5, and my nephew is almost 3. So yeah, they're a little young. Anyway, but this some of these episodes are scary,
mm-hmm.
and this episode here, Janeway. Oh my gosh, Admiral Janeway. I'm scared of what's going to happen when they finally catch the protostar, because this is a manhunt now, and all the evidence that she has points to the fact that people that stole the protostar are murdering left and right and kidnapped the diviner's daughter and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to be, they blew up a relay station, and yeah. So she thinks they're bad people, and I'm I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that scene that we saw at Star Trek Day sort of backs that up a bit. The scene where we saw them chasing, where we see the Dauntless chasing the protostar.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Sorry if that was a spoiler.
It's going to be
well, it was a clip that was already out there.
It's a clip that was already out there, but it sounds like Ria hadn't seen it.
Oh, sorry.
I hadn't seen it. Oh, whoops. I had to work that day. That's all right.
There's this newfangled thing called video on demand. Sorry.
I haven't seen the trailers or anything for Picard season 3 or anything
That's so awesome.
I need someone to remind me.
Yeah, you should. You should absolutely watch
that.
Yes, I should.
Because the appearance of Spoiler and Spoiler are wonderfully shocking.
Yeah, they really are.
One's more shocking than the other, but yeah.
Yeah, Spoiler is definitely more of a surprise than Spoiler.
Yes. There's the other thing I wanted to see what you guys thought. Did they create a religion?
Yeah, kinda.
So if they did, what about us? What about we Trek fans?
Well, we have a religion?
Spent
13 years in Catholic school, I'd say this is a more attractive religion, but that's me.
I mean, we dress up, we go to events. There was just an election a few days ago, and I can't help but consider, see that as a religion, the way people think of that, and the election being the big ritual, that everyone makes their pilgrimages to.
There is an argument to be had for that there is a civic religion around that type of thing. If you read James Lowen's Lies My Teacher Told Me, he talks about that with Thanksgiving, how Thanksgiving and the 4th of July are feasts in the civic religion of the United States. And it's just, it's an interesting way to look at it.
And if you look at religions like where there's, like, for example, a savior or someone that's going to come and save you or rescue you or
Messiah.
Something like that, which I think I see that a lot in politics.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
People think that kind of a Messiah thing. Well, on this planet, they were waiting for Starfleet to come as the Messiah. So, yeah, I can see that being considered a religion.
See, more Prime Directive damage done.
Mm-hmm.
This is just making me think of the Star Trek episode of Futurama.
Yes.
But you guys got me thinking now. It's interesting that there's example after example after example in every walk of life, from the actual religious to secular to entertainment or whatever, where people are forming basically religions. It's like it seems that there's an innate craving for some type of ritual, some type of, people are looking for some type of Messiah or Savior or something, and that kind of community of, like-minded values and morals and behaviors and again, rituals and traditions and outfits. It seems to be pretty universal.
Well, people inherently want to belong to something that is bigger than them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we're
Absolutely.
very social creatures.
Yeah, I think COVID demonstrated that irrefutably.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
We haven't really talked about the whole structure of the episode, but I don't know that we need to go play-by-play through this. I think at this point we've touched on a lot.
Sorry.
Well, what are you sorry about? This is just as off the rails as we always are. No worries.
Yeah, it's fine.
Perfect.
Honestly, if we just go play-by-play through the episode, that gets boring, because people already saw the episode.
Right.
That's no different than... Yeah. People tune into us to hear us talk about a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
At least, I really hope they do, because otherwise, we're disappointing them every week.
Well...
Hey, they're still downloading.
They know how not to do
but
that. Yeah,
I really enjoyed the stage play of them showing the whole
cool.
The history there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I wonder though because that leads to the scene at the end when they beam them up to the ship to have them help fly the ship, and they change the controls with holographic controls. I believe you can change the controls to holographic controls. That makes sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily believe that these people who've been sitting around at these cardboard sets actually know what the controls do.
So I wondered about that a little bit too, because when would they have seen the Enterprise bridge? Which makes me think that there must have been video logs that Garvik had or that they had access to somehow.
Stuff they used to have access to, but it broke down and they no longer have.
Yeah. There must have been something. Otherwise they wouldn't know, Scotty, and they wouldn't know how he spoke, and they wouldn't know how anyone spoke.
Right.
And then again, this holographic bridge set. Now, being in flight school right now, I will say that, we have flight simulators, and we even have really ginormous printouts of the consoles in our particular aircraft that at the very beginning of our training were really helpful. So there is something to that, and knowing where all the buttons are and all the knobs and switches and jelly buttons if it's the original Enterprise. So I can buy it.
Well, we don't know how long Garvik was there before he died, and he may very well have been trying to reconstruct a communications array or something, so it would make sense that he would do it, and it would look the way he would be accustomed to seeing things on the Enterprise or another Starfleet ship. So I can work that out in my head.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, boy, he really spilled the beans, though. But the holographic, the Enterprise, because they know everything, but add a way to contaminate the culture.
I think the contamination ship had sailed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must have. And these must be, again, highly imitative people, kind of oh gosh, what was the name of that planet? Gamma Iota.
Oh, yeah.
Sigma.
You know,
Sigma
Sigma
Iota.
action.
Yeah.
Sigma Iota. Yep. There you go. But I wondered too, what would kids think of this Constitution class bridge? Like for us, we're like, ooh, nostalgia TOS. But kids are probably like, why is it like red and it looks different?
Orange, really?
And
Yeah. So I'm curious.
they made a choice with using that one and not the Strange New Worlds one, too. And that's...
Yeah, that's a good point.
They do that for the nostalgia's sake, and we understand that. Same reason we saw the Enterprise D bridge last, first half of the season, but that was a choice.
It's interesting, though, that the uniform they showed was much more similar to the ones from Star Trek Beyond than it was the one from TOS.
You mean the one in the frame?
Yeah. Especially if you look at the collar.
The collar is high. Yeah. Interesting. Maybe this wasn't our Garavik.
Alternate universe Garavik?
Maybe.
It would explain the Galileo.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny because Walkie said, in this interview, he said it was the TOS Garavik, but how funny would it be if the Kelvin verse fit better? If the author, was not aware of what he created.
They've been using a lot of...
Well, no, because the bridge was not the Kelvin bridge.
No. I don't think it was. I was just being goofy.
I think they just did that because that uniform looked better.
Yeah.
It probably, with the high collar, it translated better to this particular animation style than, I think.
It was cool how they had the uniform and the phaser in a
shadow box. Yep.
Boxed frame like that. Yeah, shadow box. Yeah.
We have not talked about the Diviner or Murph yet. I mean, other than we mentioned Murph.
Yes. Murph is an interesting thing. They've been building to this.
Yeah.
We saw that Murph had a cough.
Yeah.
And now, apparently, Murph is going into a cocoon.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. I was a little... obviously Rock Talk's been very concerned with Murph, but Janeway seemed to kind of blow it off a little bit. Oh, it's just a cold. Like,
I didn't care for that.
Shouldn't we be a little bit
concerned?
Yeah, because isn't Murph indestructible? And here
but he can still get a cold.
Something's wrong with it, clearly.
Well, maybe now that we know what Murph is, they were able to look up the records and see... medical information about them.
That's possible that Janeway holographic Janeway just accessed that and immediately dismissed it because she knew it wasn't an issue, but then did not share that information with Rock Talk. And Rock Talk probably did not think to look. She will now, though, I bet. And if she doesn't, then Zero will. So.
Oh, yeah. Because, if the Federation database could identify Murph as a melanoid slime worm, then it surely has some information about the life cycles of melanoid slime worms, so it would know what's going to happen with this cocoon and then afterwards.
I think it'll...
Unless they're like Kelpians.
That's possible.
Who go through a similar thing, but for millennia we're just cold instead. But.
So you're saying on the melanoid slime world homeworld, once they cocoon, they just kill them?
I mean, you never know, or maybe now Murph will have little daggers that can shoot at people. But
that would be pretty cool.
I think it'd be hilarious if right after they produce the Murph plush, he no longer looks like that. Because we have all been begging for a Murph. Excuse me. Because we've all been begging for a Murph plush, right? And then all of a sudden, he's going to be like, something else entirely.
And they still haven't made a public, available retail available Murph plush. Wow. They just did that Comic-Con exclusive one.
When the first time I saw this and they first showed Murph right there in that last scene, I'm like, wait, is he a crystalline entity? Kind of crystalline-y, but
they start out very small.
Yeah, and very gelatinous, and then become crystalline. But I doubt he's going to turn into a crystalline entity.
They do eat everything, though.
Yeah, yeah, they can survive in space, too. Guess we'll find out.
Yeah, well... At the risk of spoiling some more, from that scene that we saw at Star Trek Day, we know that something happens because we see Murph. We see that in this scene where the Dauntless is chasing the Protostar. We see that Murph is in a chrysalis, and Rok-Tahk is concerned with it, and the scene ends with Rok-Tahk saying there's been a development, and we see an empty chrysalis.
I had forgotten about that, yeah. All right.
So, we know that Murph does complete whatever transformation Murph is... What pronouns does Murph use?
Does Murph become a Murphlefly?
Possibly.
A butter Murph?
We don't know.
Butter Murph.
We don't know, other than that Star Trek Day scene does tell us that Murph will complete, some sort of metamorphosis.
Murph goes through puberty.
Yeah, Murphamorphosis.
Metamorphosis. There we go.
Metamorphosis, yes.
And you know what? Now I need that to be the title of the episode where we find out about that information. Metamorphosis.
That would be amazing.
Where the kids learn about puberty.
Hey.
Bodies change.
These are things you have to know.
Now Murph has hair in different places.
You got to go into that Eddie Izzard bit?
I've said too much.
Suddenly starts noticing other slime molds in different ways.
Murph's locking himself up in his cabin for extended periods. Okay, so back to the episode.
All right, so we've talked. I think we've covered most everything that happens on the planet of the Enterprisians.
Yes.
I did think it was cool that the Galileo was the monster, but because of the way it was hidden, it looked like a monster and turned out to just be a shuttle leaking warp plasma. Yeah. I thought that was pretty cool.
And I forgot this. The first time I watched it too, I got a total motion picture vibe. With Voyager. Yeah, Gallows Galileo. I thought that was kind of cool. Kitty Hawk.
Gallows, you hear gallows, and my thought was, a means of execution. So that was a nice little double meaning there that they had.
Mm-hmm.
Cat's Paw, I believe, had gallows.
Yeah.
Another inadvertent TOS callback.
I'm still annoyed that Species 10C didn't turn out to be the Cat's Paw aliens.
I know, that would have been cool. Little pipe cleaners and all.
We should talk about what happened on Voyager. Or not Voyager, on the Dauntless.
The Dauntless, yeah.
So, they find the empty escape pod from the station.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I guess he was picked up by another ship, but they left the escape pod behind.
That's weird.
Space trash lying around.
And also, he was picked up by another ship, and it wasn't like in the logs, so that somebody heading in that direction might know about it. Like a vice admiral who has the right to know about that type of thing.
I'm really curious about these flashbacks that the diviner had.
I'm wondering what does the diviner know and not know at this point about his own.
Yes.
Life? Yeah.
I'm wondering too, is he really as messed up as he's playing, or is he playing Janeway?
Well, the fact that we're seeing these flashbacks almost makes me feel like he's telling her everything he knows.
Like, I really think he thinks he's doing the right thing.
Yeah. I don't think he remembers everything at this point. Now, I think at some point he's going to, and then he probably, there will be a problem. But, I think right now he doesn't, everything he's told Janeway is everything he knows. I think that's, if we didn't see the flashbacks, then I'd be like, oh, maybe he's playing them. But the fact that we're seeing those flashbacks, which are presumably his mind, like, trying to make sense of this, I don't think he remembers.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of what I thought, too. I mean, I wondered if he was playing Janeway, but I really think that he's only got some of the pieces to the puzzle, and that's just going to add fuel to Janeway's fire that, the protostars that been taken over by this gang of, bad people.
Rogue children.
Yeah. Would have gotten away with it if it weren't for these kids.
I did see a theory posted earlier this week. It was either on Twitter or Mastodon. And it was a photo. Someone was saying that the Diviner, Gwyn, and Ensign Essentia all have the same nose.
Didn't catch that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
So there's a theory that perhaps Ensign Essentia is not necessarily who she appears to be.
Oh, that would be... Huh. I wonder how she infiltrated Starfleet.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
I mean, he's from the future. So if they have we still don't know how they got back into the past, right? Right. So, I mean, if there's that, he might actually know everything that's about to happen. He may have brought that knowledge with him, and having that knowledge, he may have been able to put reliable people in places of power, or in places where that he'd interact with them. And she did know about the thing in the suit.
That's true. She did know about the stuff in the suit. She knew that it was she knew that it was there to sustain him, which, I mean, is a fairly good guess.
Oh, it is.
To be fair.
It is, yeah.
But, and again, we're really only going on the fact that someone on the internet noticed they have the same nose. That could just be the animators using the same models.
Entirely possible, yeah.
Interesting.
The Diviner does... The impression that Janeway is definitely getting is that Chakotay is not in control of the Protostar, that the Protostar is out doing terrible things. We're going to have some sort of confrontation, and it may not be a good one.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm nervous about that. It's going to be tense. I don't know if I can handle it.
I think you can. It'll be good.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, it is still a kid's show, so it probably won't get too bad.
That's the thing. This is a kid's show. It's a, half-hour episodes, and already I've got more tension and more, almost anxiety about this upcoming confrontation than any episode of Discovery ever did for me. They are doing something so right here with Prodigy. They're doing so many things so right.
Yeah, I think they are definitely hitting it out of the park with Prodigy at the moment. It is fantastic.
For sure.
Any other final thoughts or connections that we didn't mention already?
Let me see here. I'm flipping through my notes here, and I do get a kick out of how they refer to Ensign as the bearer of crimson.
Yes.
Love how they turned the red shirt little trope around.
That was cool.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Something else about this episode that especially jumped out at me my last viewing, which was earlier today, after having kind of a crappy day, let's put it that way, is in this episode, the evolution of both Dal and Jankum. Going in at the beginning of the episode, Dal is so discouraged. How can we ever, join Starfleet if we've got this ship that's a weapon that'll destroy Starfleet, and he's just, he's ready to give up. You've got Jankum, who can't do anything about this weapon, and he's frustrated, and they're both feeling an imposter syndrome. Jankum's feeling like, well, what kind of an engineer am I if I can't fix anything? And the whole, first 2/3 of the episode, he's just afraid. He doesn't want to go on the away mission. He doesn't want, he just wants to leave. He doesn't want any part of anything. Until, for Jankum, he finds, the Galileo, and sees that he can actually do something about it. There's a communications array. He can get on board and risk his life and do something about it. But it's like he had to. He needed that win. He had to do something, even if it was a little crazy out there. He had to succeed. And then we had Dal, who it was probably his conversation with Dr. Boone's, kind of the pep talk he got from him. And Dal comes to realize, well, we don't need the ship. We can do this with or without the ship. And while we have the ship, we're going to go out and do go do good things. But it was really cool to see both of them kind of come out of their funk by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
My.
Good old Star Trek A and B plot.
Yeah, yeah. And there were almost even like C&D plots in this. They're just so many pieces woven together so beautifully. Ugh, I need to hug Aaron Walker.
I got nothing to add.
See here.
Bring us more stuff.
Did we mention Fred Tatasciore, right? Yeah. Oh, another thing. When at the end there, when Dal has a bunch of the locals beamed aboard the Protostar, tell me that's not every fan's dream.
that definitely felt like a Galaxy Quest moment.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen that. But
no comment. There were some definite Galaxy Quest vibes throughout this episode with the way that the aliens were basically designed their entire society around stuff.
Even their look, a little bit.
Okay.
Oh.
Interesting. It's on my watch list.
They did look a little bit like the Thermians.
No spoilers.
Okay.
The movie's like 25 years old, but sure, no spoilers.
I know, but I'm 46 and I still haven't seen it.
The Titanic sinks. Just,
I never saw that movie and I never will. I already know how it ends.
It brings up an interesting point. Far be it for me to belabor this, but people talk about, like, we all knew that Kirk was going to die in Generations, right? It was like all over all the materials for it. It was in the magazines. Nobody was bothered by that. Yeah. There weren't people out there screaming spoilers, and that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Right, I actually didn't know that Kirk was going to die. Yeah. When I saw it, I did not know that Kirk was going to die.
Okay.
Because I was only,
8
years old. But
okay, so those of us that were like reading the magazines and paying more attention in different ways than 8-year-olds knew about these things.
Even back then, I wasn't reading the magazine.
Well, but my point is that this thing about, like, spoilers never used to be a thing. Like, you'd hear about it with people like, I taped a baseball game or something and I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. That's where you would hear that kind of thing, and not with movies and TV shows and stuff.
I think the difference is back then you had to seek the spoilers out.
That's a point.
So, like, the average average person who went to see Generations, I'm not talking the dedicated fans, I'm talking about there's a new Star Trek movie, let's go see it.
Who have not read the magazine.
Hadn't read those magazines and didn't know that.
That's true.
And I'm pretty good about avoiding spoilers because I'm so oblivious to pop culture and the world around me, so it works in my favor. But Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 9, I hadn't seen it yet because I still had a job then. I had to work that day. And, was just, I don't know, sitting on the toilet, flipping through Facebook.
Like you do.
And, whenever I'm on the toilet, because that's when you see me post something. But,
I mean,
so just
I
flipping through it, and, I know.
social media on the toilet. I think everyone does.
That's
literally its purpose.
Yeah. So I know if I see anything, Star Trek related, just keep scrolling. And I never had anything spoiled until that day, and Justin Oser spoiled. I mean, right there the episode had been out for like 6 hours, okay? And I get it. It was very, very upsetting what happened. But it was even more upsetting to know what happened before the episode, before you even got to see the episode. And that was pretty sad.
Yeah.
But thanks a lot, Justin. But I love you, and I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful time. Say hi to Rosie. And I miss Hemmer.
I also miss Hemmer.
Heartbreaking. Love that character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hemmer was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Hemmer's dead. Kirk's dead. Everyone's dead. Garvik's dead. Jeez.
All right. So, on that note, it's been a blast talking about Prodigy with you today, but I think we've covered pretty much everything. Yeah. So, Ria, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us. Where can people find you online? And do you have anything you want to talk about?
Just thank you guys for having me on. This was so much fun. I'm loving Prodigy. I think they're just, just hitting it out of the park. They're, another excellent episode. Otherwise, online, you can find me as one of the co-hosts of Galaxy Class on the BQN. If you listen to Galaxy Class and get caught up on your episodes, although I got to say, with my flight schedule, I've been kind of hit or miss on recording. But otherwise, you can find me in the BQN Collective. And yes, you do know whenever I'm taking a bio break, because that's when I tend to post on Facebook. But that's all for my very limited social media online presence. I haven't even seen Titanic, so what do you expect?
You haven't seen Titanic, you don't have an AOL handle. I mean, really, what's wrong with you?
I mean, no one has an AOL handle anymore. They shut that service down.
Yeah, but in 1997...
They did? Because I know someone that has one.
AOL email addresses, you still have.
Oh, yeah.
But AOL Instant Messenger no longer exists.
Yeah, I wasn't that high tech back then.
That's okay.
Or now.
That's allowed. You're probably healthier mentally for it.
I don't know about mentally, but maybe physically.
Okay.
Chrissie, where can people find you when you're not going on a manhunt?
Yeah, if I'm on a manhunt, it's usually in some archive, and it's somebody who's been dead for a very long time. So yeah. But when I'm not doing that, you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on BQN. We are back as of this week. Thank you, everyone, for appreciating the fact that we needed a little bit of time off. But you can listen for one of the reasons for that, because the episode that dropped on this Thursday would be last Thursday when this drops, was the project that I had going that I had to put together about Stonewall. So that was one of the reasons I needed a bit of time. And you already heard the one that Jay had. So we're back, yes. And I'm also happy to chat about our shows in the BQN Collective on Facebook. And I'm on Twitter at the Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where, as you know, I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. Thad, where can people find you when you are not trying to figure out the cure for a disease that you don't know what the cause of it is, so it's kind of difficult?
I thought you were going to go with when you're not dressing up like a Starfleet officer, and I was going to say that never.
How did I not think of that? That should have been for all of us. Okay, listeners, we are recording on a Friday night instead of our usual Saturday morning, and I'm just going downhill past my bedtime. Anyway. So, Thad, where are you when you're not wearing a Starfleet uniform? Or when you are wearing a Starfleet uniform?
In the shower.
Where am I when I'm not wearing a Starfleet uniform? Yeah, I guess in the shower is probably, like, more or less the only time. Best place to find me is probably still on Twitter at Tyrannicus. That's Tyranicus, where I tweet about a lot of things, mostly Star Trek. Also, given the uncertain nature of Twitter these days, you can also find me on Mastodon, where I'm at Tyrannicus at 10forward.social. And you can hear me on the other podcast I do with my friend Carl called License to Spiel, James Bond podcast, where we talk about the various James Bond films and James Bond related films. We're currently doing the Austin Powers movies.
Awesome.
And license is spelled with a C like the British do it.
All right, well, don't forget all of our other great shows here on the BQN, like Galaxy Class, starring Ria.
What?
All Good Things, Union Federation, What's the T-Bev, Mickey's Marvels, and, as I mentioned earlier, History with the Szilagys. And exclusively for our Patreon members, there's It's Green with Mark White and Amy's Math Moments.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for the wonderful theme music and Mark White for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
And if you'd like to reach out, you can find the network on Twitter at BQN Podcasts, or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective. When you next hear from us, we'll be talking about the next episode of Prodigy, which is called Crossroads. Until then, we bid you, what did they say instead of peace and long life?
Live logs and proper.
Ah, yes. Until then, we bid you to live logs and prosper.